All right, game 3, 1-1. We've got a series. Blue side seems to be the way they want it. They get another flex this time. Tristana turning into Aphelios. They've got Aphelios and Alistar, which is a fine pairing. A lot of appeal. They tend to be a very weak lane together. We'll see if Nautilus and Xayah is able to punish that at all. Nautilus will have to worry a little bit, just like Leona does. Not quite as much because she doesn't go to the other side. She doesn't commit. Sorry, Leona commits further than Nautilus does. So it's not as scary for Nautilus to engage into Alistar, but it is still something. Wave clear going to favor the Nautilus and the Xayah as well. Azir going to have all the AoE damage, and they do get the Renekton end up coming through on Zika, so we do have a source. Now, Gragas is someone that they're very happy to play into Renekton and just kind of whittle them away. This is post nerf on Gragas. He's not completely busted like he was in spring. You have the 12-second recharge on the passive instead of 8, but check out this window right here. Ooh, I'm surprised they didn't go harder on that. Opting, they say, you know what, we don't have enough and we don't want to give Aphelios just full uptime on red guns. But they probably had enough damage. They could have continued there. And absolutely it's going to be enough to turn into a level 1 advantage into 2 spike. They get the HP lead, you get the shield. It's the extra auto attack, plus the burn, plus the shield. Everything going well for Hong. And again, LNG's bot lane playing well. This time they obviously had the onus to do it. Now we'll see if we have an interesting path here. We have a delayed bot side path into mid feint into coming bot to kill Gala, and they're going to get this. What a path by Kanabi. Now, what I will say, it is a very slow path. It was exceptionally unpredictable. The problem, even though the speed is a little bit off, like look at this lane state that they get to leave themselves in. They get to leave this freeze. Now, Nautilus is going to come back and threaten to use his HP in order to get the wave pushed in. You see a little bit of interaction between Gragas and Renekton there. But now they get to hold this freeze for themselves. And this is a cull and a kill of Aphelios. Ruler again 1-0 to start the game. This guy is just on another level, guys. Chain CC, bop bop, cleanses down. Cleanse not doing anything against Alistar, can only do it against Rel. Can't do it against the knockups either, right? You have to wait for the stun. Wasn't quite frame perfect, wouldn't have saved them anyways. Spell does so much damage. Now let's see what we get. Now, one of the things that's interesting about this, we had Xayah going cull. Not willing to take the double down on like, hey, no, we're going to go all in and try to kill Aphelios in this lane, saying like, you know, we're going to hedge my bets. We're stronger and I want the gold advantage. But between the two of them getting cull is actually the biggest amount of sustain. Between Doran's Blade and Cull does give you more health back. It doesn't give you that flat AD to start off your defenses with. And that's not so important when there's not a guaranteed lockdown early if you just position yourself in the minions, not letting Nautilus get into you. But Xayah doesn't have the resources now without that extra upfront HP to be able to take down these fights right at the beginning. And also you see right there, like that extra 80 health, if it had come up, would have kept them alive. The combination of perfect cleanse plus having Doran's Blade would have been just fine. We see a little bit of upfront damage. It is a fleet footwork from the Tristana, so we expect to see static shiv. Now you use a fleet footwork in these lanes that are much less about the all-in and more about the chip damage. Azir does put himself at a severe point of weakness every time that he casts Q against Tristana. If you're the Tristana and you see Azir cast Q, you can immediately just jump onto them. Best answer from Azir is to use the E and to jump in and get the shield and just collide with you. And hopefully collide and then have you jump over and land over so you don't get the extra charge. But we saw that Tristana was able to push Scout out, force Scout back, and get the late arrival into this lane, and we see a 7 CS differential, and it looks like it's going to be Merc Treads, which makes a ton of sense between the Nautilus, Renekton, and the Azir Maokai combinations. Not only is Merc Treads going to be good against Maokai and Azir, but it's also going to stop some of the stuns from Renekton and Nautilus. The stun in the root. Now early, Bami's Cinder. Gragas is just going to keep on using resources into the face of the Renekton, bop him every time he comes forward, not letting him get those empowered Qs. Now Renekton is doing very well for themselves. We've seen Zika generate a lead for themselves in top lane by themselves, right? Without much ado. Everything's been focused on Ruler, and every game Zika's been just fine. Last game a little bit of a less of a gap, but still was able to take it on later. So we'll see if this becomes the story of this matchup. Like, hey, yeah, Ruler looks great, and Ruler's untouchable, but 369's not. See how they take this lane state. Aphelios, let's see, you've got Nautilus and Xayah pushing out. They've got the protection of a large wave, but it is Alistar and Aphelios. You do have the AoE route available to them right now. All right, this is going to be favored to Tristana. You walk away from the soldiers. Might have been willing to jump over that. I think if she flashes, if you flash the Azir wall right there, 100% you get the flash from Azir, which takes away all of Azir's early playmaking ability. But it's still getting the win for themselves. It's going to be even stronger once they do get access to this Merc Treads. Tarzan covering, making sure that Tristana is spending the maximum amount of time, not able to just get this next wave in. They hold the freeze. Now the team shows up. They're like, okay, Aphelios is down in the lane by themselves, and it looks like we might have a similar trade as last time, but with an adjustment. We have Renekton coming bottom. Now this could be death for Ruler if they don't realize what the play is going on. Now this time, not sticking around for any amount of plates, must have a perfect amount of gold, or they're just mixing it up, and they're actually going to change it. Ruler's going to come over for the play. So we see the first big deviation at 8 minutes. Did have some solo time in the lane, so they are level 6, right? And that's going to be the big tiebreaker why they're opting to come over. Most times at these 8-minute heralds, you're not quite at level 6 as an AD carry, and so you're not able to join these fights. You don't really want to, but if you are, right, if Alistar has roamed at all, then you're going to have solo level 6 for yourself, and you see they're even dinging level 7. They come over for their fight, and they've got red and white guns ready and rearing in ready to go. But they still get chased out. Now, Renekton was late to this lane, did opt to push out bottom before coming, so they're losing out on a significant amount of resources in the bot lane. The Maokai ultimate is in. We'll see if they front. They do, and they go for the all-in for the Herald. We're going to see a first big fight. Gragas is very strong in this situation, but not as strong as Renekton. Renekton going in to muscle in for themselves, and even though they don't get the Herald, they're able to fend off against the eye capture. And now they have a wave state coming back to them in bottom. All right, Xayah's going to be able to pick up this wave and pick up a double or triple stacked bottom wave. You see Renekton's impulse is like, hey, I want to go pick this up, but no, this belongs to Xayah. You absolutely want to give it to her if you can. There is enough time. No, there's not, because we have the cannon wave there. The cannon wave means that this will push in at about almost exactly the right tempo to get all the way under turret. That's why they actually do send the Renekton to bot wave to pick it up. You could have sent Xayah if she had gone back a little bit quicker, but that little delay means, hey, that's fine. We'll just wash. We'll send the Renekton over, and then we'll pick up one more wave and then rotate after that. So you're going to see Xayah pick up mid wave, Renekton pick up bot, and then they'll go probably go for the resets from there. Now they may also opt to just keep this position. The benefits being that Renekton is a super lethal threat for Aphelios. Also that Azir can keep Gragas at range, can clear the wave without ever presenting a target for tradebacks. And you see right now the effect right there, getting extra turret damage in the range versus melee. Now this is interesting right here. I don't like this play by Azir, tanking any amount of damage to come to this spot. Now you can get knocked out if you try to jump in as Knight. You could flash it and say, I'm going to jump on you when you use your ultimate. I will respond with my flash over your head and ultimate you back towards my teammate. That was a play that was on the table there for Knight. I wonder if they just didn't have all the information that they wanted to go for it, or if it was just a missed window. Now Tristana gets the push in, is looking to get into this fight. Azir's going to be a little bit later because of the forced recalls. Now Gala's ripping them apart. You got big AoE damage. Alistar using the ultimate for all the effects. Ruler getting the... Oh! How did that just happen? Going in for the fight right into the wheelhouse of champions in their spikes. They did get the upfront jump, but with double AD carries, you have to be a little bit careful because it's going to be a lot about this spell upfront damage sequence, and especially Azir has a little spike at 6, and Renekton has this huge one. Xayah with the self-peel, all of these champions are so strong at 6. Not the same to be said about Aphelios nor about Gragas, right? Gragas is fine, is able to hold his own, but not able to like blow up these fights the way that AP Gragas would be able to do it. So let's see how this fight happens. We think he sees a window. We come in, we get the self-peel, all this damage coming in, but Knight is still not dealing damage. Ends up walking in. Knight jumps in just in time to get the full root effect. And then everyone's pressing backward keys. And it's just not enough. Once you have them on the run, you've got them. Everybody goes up. You see the spread damage there from the Aphelios. But it's not enough. So JDG bleeds. Now Renekton with 2 kills and 2 assists. Very happy to go into the top lane again with the Gragas. Doesn't need to get poked around by an AD carry. Azir does lose the all-in against the Tristana, but again, can just use the spell at long range. Super long range. Use the ultimate if you need to peel away Tristana. Or if they jump in and they get really too anxious about it, you can just bop them into your turret. So happy to take this situation. It's kind of crazy to see this game where we've had 4 minutes already of lane swaps in the later stage of the early game. I see these guys, they do everything possible to try to hide animations, try to get every little bit, like can I find a way to sneak in? But you see 369 is just waiting. You dash, I dash. And that's going to happen every single time. But Renekton, you know, the onus is on Renekton to keep on checking. It's like, all right, I've got fine sustain. I'm good. I've got core drinker plus my empowered Q. Even if you do bot me, I'm going to be fine. But if you don't, then I get a huge chunk of damage. So good play there by Zika and good awareness saying like, hey, yeah, we can put the onus of the pressure on you. All right, actually a missed window there. Now, this is the second time that we've seen Missing go for a WQ and do it on instinct and prediction rather than reaction. There is enough time on 0 ping to cast W, see impact, and then press Q. All right, that is something that you can do on 0 ping. In lower ping or higher ping windows, anything around like 60 to 80, you basically have to press W, and the moment you start traveling, you need to press Q. That is not something you need to do here. That window could have been Alistar going forward. You see the Azir dash backwards, you reposition with flash, and then you get the Q off, which would finish off with stuns. You'd force out the ultimate, and that would get Azir in a super uncomfortable position for these side lanes. So potentially missed opportunity. Could have been a choice. Could have been something that they're saying, hey, we don't have perfect information of what the other lane states are. But I believe they had enough there that they could have gone for it. That's the second time that Missing has missed that window because of a preemptive Q cast. Crag is saying, okay, well, I'll take it to you. Let's go. We're fine here. Grass proc. I'll take 2 grass procs. Walk up with you. I don't care if you've got Gore Drinker. This benefits me. Now we do have a Sunfire, which presumably rules out any kind of Rod of Ages builds. Not that we generally see it, but it's just another thing to think about. Rod of Ages just giving up a little bit too much. It was too strong on release. all of the effects it gave, plus the fact that the catalyst was just the best item in the game at 1100 gold, and as it was. Here we go, flash Q. We got the engage, we see teleports. Front to back, this is great positioning by Xayah. This is not a fight that you want as JDG. You're way too far forward going into Xayah's AoE damage. And now you've got everybody in trouble. Maokai ult's able to split the whole team. Renekton's going to be looking for all the damage he can get. Not quite enough, but this will be enough to get themselves a Rift Herald for sure. Xayah's also doesn't even need to be here for this, is able to push in mid, which means that they will have the inside track for the dragon as well. So we're looking at another Herald and a dragon going the way of LNG right now off of that play. Now you do have the respawns that are coming out. They may say, hey, we've got enough time now with these respawns to just take the eastern quadrant, get onto the right side of the map. We're not even going to contest Herald at all, which I like. The counter to that would be to build up mid, buy some time for your team to get their recalls in, and then shove it in right as everyone's trying to get into the river, try to get the maximum amount of people to come back to the wave. You see missing again with the overcommit. Good damage by Scout. This is the mark of the great Azir's, knowing when you can move forward. He's got the bodyguards at his side. This does mean that they get a huge chunk of damage off. It does mean that they also get the Rift Herald. Now Gragas is going to look for this flank, saying, okay, we gave it to you. Now the question was it a bait? Did you actually earn that for yourself, or did we just let you have it so that you could go up into this overeager position? Now Azir saying, I don't care, I'm doubling down, I'm going to get the Sand Tower up, the Ascension Tower, which means that they're going to go for a second, and they're going to get the second turret. So that is an extreme amount of gold going into the side of LNG. If JDG is not able to consolidate this win right here, then this is a huge problem for them, for their prospects in Game 3. Gragas gets revealed by the Maokai sapling, ends up not getting his flank that he wants, does get a decent position for himself, but was not able to consolidate while LNG was committed all the way up. Now getting a little bit of trade damage. Inconsequential chunk, but has to retreat out. And now the pit belongs to LNG. Tristana shouldn't have the range. Oh, that's a blunder there. That control ward needs to be a little bit farther up and right? So this placement right here, you need to tuck it into that top right corner of that bush to make sure that no one can get it. Only a level 18 Tristana or a Jinx with rockets would be able to get that ward if you place it in the right corner. All right, is this going to be the fight? This is going to be the fight. Maokai's going in, gets a 3-man Gore Drinker into the middle of the team. They get the Maokai follow-up. They're going to slap them with their wallets here. Ultimate's coming down. Not quite the right disjoint there from Tristana. Means that they have to pop out. But that's the end of all the spells. And they say, hey, you know what? We got the kill we wanted. We've got Rel dead. We can take Ocean from here. And honestly, we don't even need to continue because Azir's just doing work. Now with the teleport being down, they're going to push up. All right, guarantee you they're going to look to push up. Because Tristana uses teleport in the top lane, which means that she is not going to be available for the dragon. So LNG is going to push this one out. They should take the dragon out into the grass so that they can fight it from the cover of the grass. But Azir coming over to middle. Now the counter from Tristana should be to push mid. Or sorry, push top. Like, okay, my team has 0 chance of ever contesting dragon here, but what I can do is get the early push up and try to get some damage on this turret. The problem is that it's full health and there's nothing, you don't have enough time to rip that whole thing down without losing even more tempo. Now, at this stage, it's something that I would say Tristana should be willing to do. Your team's not getting anything done in that window anyways. Their enemy team is too far away to actually capitalize on you stepping up, and you won't actually get that big of a loss in tempo for it. Ends up getting nothing but a wave. Means Azir picks up the wave for themselves, and LNG has cultivated a 4,500 gold lead for themselves. They do have a scaling problem against this double AD in the form of Aphelios Tristana doing so much damage, but you have, basically the classic composition. Anytime that you have 2 AD carries, it's almost always paired with 3 tanks. The idea is like you have to be able to create space for them, and you're just saying we're just going to deal more damage than you. We have more damage sources. The problem is that Azir's going to be able to keep up just as well, and they have the self-peel for these tanks. So just compositionally speaking, Renekton diving into the backline, Maokai being able to secure any CC advantages that they have, and Azir being able to self-peel, as well as Xayah being able to self-peel, means that we just have a compositional advantage. We'll see if they can make it happen for themselves with all this upfront damage from the marksman, but even with virtually a perfect engage to start off, Gragas trying to get everyone set up, it's just not going to be enough. Look how healthy the team is. And they're going to have Ocean just taking themselves back up. Normally not a huge fan of the dragons, but I like Ocean in a state like this where it's like, yeah, we'll get any of these times, like, we'll knock you back. You can come up, we'll knock you back over and over and over. Now, good answer from JDG, making it about a coin flip and saying, hey, let's see if we can get them into a coin flip. Unfortunately, they never get into the pit with it. It's not Rel, so it's not really a coin flip. So I'll just walk that back. If that were Rel on the top side of the pit and not Alistar, I'd be fine with it. Rel having such a huge execute threshold would have been very problematic on that side, but instead they just walk themselves into an even deeper hole. They keep on digging even though it's going downhill. Now 8.5k, 2-1 dragons, which is inconsequential, and the Baron. They get all this up front, but Gala virtually untouched. Azir totally happy here, tucking themselves into the corner, getting hit by Baron, but it's just nothing compared to what everyone else is doing. Now, Scout does go forward a little bit far while the team is pushing into the beach, into the western quadrant, but the communication's not there from JDG to say, hey, we can punish this. Only the top side starts stepping forward to punish Azir. They don't time that at the same time with a pinch. So if there was a window, that would have been the small, it's only there for a quarter second. But these teams that are elite team fighters are going to be looking for that sort of window. Now, I don't expect Renekton to make it through the draft again. We'll see what happens. This should be game over. Good angle on the ultimate from Maokai. That's enough to get this down. Now, Rel is making about all or nothing. Don't think they needed to do that. They're going to get chain CCs right now. Zika able to just jump into the middle of these fights. Happy to use Gore Drinker to pop back. Love the build. Black Cleaver second, knowing that it's your plan to shred her as much as possible, get back up to full health. You're just blending up a healthy smoothie, come back out, drink it, let your team reap the benefits of it. Beautifully played game there by LNG.